Hey everyone, hey everyone, hey everyone, Anthony Fantano here, the internet's busiest music nerd, and it's time for another Why You Know review, where I go over a series of albums that I didn't get a chance to review full-length style, so I did a little bit of a gauntlet thing, and here we are. Here we are. So we're just gonna get into the records, we're gonna get into the albums. Let's go. New Evidence album. Listen, Evidence, he's a little underwhelming for me on this album. I wish the record was a little bit more experimental and cutting edge, but this guy is one of the coldest dudes to ever touch the microphone. And he still sounds like it on this new project too. Very lyrical, lots of heady, cerebral bars on this thing, some good guests, some decent production too. I just wish it was a bit more exciting, but shout out to Evidence. He's always very consistent, very good, and again, cold as ice. If you had told me this was a Pianos Become the Teeth record, like I would have never believed it until I actually saw the title on the cover of this thing, because it sounds like a generic indie leftover from the 2000s that's just like a little emo, a little dramatic. Like it's so derivative, it's so nondescript. There's literally nothing special about this album. I'm actually kind of amazed at how unoriginal it is. Like it's really a feat to come out with a record that is this lacking in anything memorable, anything defining. It's congratulations, I guess. I was somewhat excited for this new Porches album. I thought some of the promotional tracks were pretty decent, but honestly, I feel like the vocals are just really drab. The beats are not quite as groovy and danceable as I guess I would have liked them to be. I mean, I admire what Porches tried to do on this project. It's unlike anything that has been dropped under the Porches name before, but still, it's pretty drab, in my opinion. Pretty drab. Oh god, this LONZO album is garbage! It's freaking garbage, dude! He sounds goofy on the microphone, like, Jesus Christ! Like, man, he's gotta really think like he can just basically do anything. Like, coming together with a good rap record, it's not that easy. You can't just be famous and have like a lot of money and just like do a rap album, you know? This is trash. This is garbage, dude. This is frickin' garbage. Oh my god. This is like the most generic trap record I've heard in a long time. Like when there's some auto-tune on this dude's voice, he just sounds like a great value Future. I don't I don't get it. Like, the beats are dime a dozen. His vocals, I guess I wouldn't even be able to pick them out of a lineup. The lyricism, like, what lyricism? Like, it's so bland. It's like such a placeholder. It's like, this is something that people listen to when they're waiting for something actually interesting to come out. Please, this is so forgettable. Seriously? Like, I thought that metalcore was almost, like, nearly creatively bankrupt last decade, but I feel like we've hit a new low here with all of the really wimpy, melodramatic post-hardcore elements flowing throughout this thing, and in a few moments where it just feels like I'm hearing some alternative R&B. And the production, it's so glitzy. There's nothing exciting or raw about much of any of it. Like, this is... ugh. I admire the dude's hustle, and it seems like he put a lot of heart into this thing, but at this point he just sounds way too young and way too undefined for me to really kind of gravitate toward this record in any significant way. Like, when I first heard it, I felt like I was listening to Section 80, but like way less exciting and so much more cumbersome and I guess kind of all over the place. But still, it seems like he's trying to do something with a bit of substance on here, more substance than a lot of rap projects that you're going to hear this year. But still, I feel like there's a bit in the way of execution and interesting instrumentals that's left to be desired. But I guess as long as he keeps at it and he's continuing to try to do something better than you know, the average, I guess there's still reason to pay attention, to be curious. You know, I feel like Laurie Anderson and the KRONOS Quartet is just a bill that when I saw it, like that should have just been fireworks. That should have been instant fireworks. But instead, it's like I'm listening to really weak, dark, moody, watered down neoclassical music about Hurricane Sandy. And I don't know, it just reminds me of like forgettable post-rock. I don't know, like the narrations aren't that interesting, the string compositions aren't that interesting. I'm just kind of scraping to find anything exciting or even vaguely intriguing about this album, and it's just not really here. It's just not really here. I was kind of fucking with this band's sound on their last record where it seemed like they were a little influenced by Women, one of my favorite Canadian indie rock and underground bands. And then I caught them live with Deerhoof, and they were amazing. So tight live, like incredible performance, great instrumental muscle, interesting time signatures and grooves throughout nearly every track. But then when I hear this new record over here, I feel like the grooves and the drums and the bass, they're not really there. They sound really hollow. They don't have that much presence. The guitars have this annoyingly metallic and twangy timbre to them that sounds like steel drums, which I've heard other artists do before, but I feel like it's just a little overdone on this record over here. And the vocals sound like such, like, I don't know, like a Panda Bear ripoff. Like, obviously there's a little bit of Brian Wilson influence on here, but it feels like it's only coming by way of Animal Collective. To me, this record just kind of sounds like Animal Collective trying to do math rock, and it's such, I don't know, like a futile exercise. I guess I just don't see the appeal in this project. Like, I get that some of the songs on here are pretty big hits, but I just feel like that track with Young Thug is so corny. Some of the more low-key and acoustic tracks are pretty, but I don't really think her voice is that interesting or exciting. Like, it's not that sexy, it's not that expressive. She just kind of sounds like, I don't know, one of many very young, just plugged-in pop songstresses that don't have much in the way of personality and have more production value than they do character on a record. You know, some parts of it are listenable, but would I say it's memorable? Would I say it's exciting? Not really, no. Imagine this. Two guys from the Midwest signed to Def Jam come through with a project that sounds like a bunch of old school like G-Funk and Bay Area stuff, and it's kind of catchy, but they also overloaded this project with a bunch of songs that didn't need to be here. Some slick flows on here, some cool grooves. If that interests you, I guess try it. I am horrified by the album cover on this thing. I do not want to subject myself to this. I refuse. I refuse. I'm not putting myself through the torture. I'm gonna do something else. The Body and Full of Hell. I kind of regret not reviewing this last year. It's decent, it's okay. I would say it's about on par with their last collaborative album. If you're looking for an interesting fusion of experimental music, noise music, metal and metalcore, like the extreme, the most abrasive elements of the metal underground, give this thing a shot. You know, I definitely think The Body and Full of Hell complement one another when they land on a record, because I think Full of Hell brings a lot more viscera and a lot more energy and a lot more, I guess, explosivity to what The Body does. Meanwhile, The Body brings a certain level of experimentation and adventure to the very meat and potatoes and aggressive and muscular sound that Full of Hell brings on their records. However, I just wish that they would come through with an album that felt a little bit more I guess, thematic and satisfying and ambitious, because the two projects they've released so far just kind of seem like a somewhat interesting smattering of collaborations just kind of sprinkled about this LP. Some hit, some don't, some feel more fleshed out than others. It's just not all that consistent. It just doesn't feel all that built up, you know what I mean? But yeah, it's worth a try. It's worth a try if you're looking for some extreme experimental music. I'm glad this new Belle and Sebastian EP is decent, but like I don't get the reasoning behind just dropping all of this music across a bunch of EPs. And that's probably as a result of my ignorance, that I don't know that. I guess I'll admit I'm not up on the Belle and Sebastian narrative at the moment, but I guess I just wish that they would drop a great record instead of trying to come through with some gimmicky vision as to how to release all these new songs that they've penned, because I really don't feel like it's that interesting. I don't want to look at it. I don't want to look at it anymore. This album sucks. Like, this is like his R&B album. Like, he's just like auto-tune crooning on nearly every track here. It's garbage. Like, the lyrics suck. His singing sucks. The production is generic as hell. I don't get the appeal of this. This is just trash. This is like the worst thing he's released so far. It's truly the worst thing he's put out. And his last record, like, who even paid attention to his last record? Who is still saying, TYGA, hey, put out some more music? Oh, I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna come out with a terrible R&B album where I just auto-tune myself the whole frickin' time. Oh, that's great. Do that. That's a great idea. We'll put up money for that. What? Why? This is terrible. And who the hell okayed this fucking album cover? It's hilarious that back in the day, I remember Kanye like complaining online about, oh, they won't let me put out the album cover that I want to put out for My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. And it's like, okay, how does he get a hard time with that? But this is fucking okay? This is okay? Like, we're cool with this? Like, what the fuck? Musician, have you given these albums a listen? Did you love them? Did you hate them? What would you rate them? You're the best, you're the best. What should I review next? Hit the like if you like. Please subscribe. And please don't cry. Just leave a thoughtful comment in the comments if you're feeling full of thoughts. Anthony Fantano. Over here next to my head is another video you can check out. Hit that up or the link to subscribe to the channel forever.